grade 12. Today in our accounting lesson, we're actually going to be discussing something that we will be continuing upon of what we last talked at. And this is basically what we'll be discussing is basically these items, what exactly do they fall under? Like what category do they fall under? Like is it something that the owner, drew from the company? Or is it something that, came to the company in sort of revenue? Is it money that they made? Or is it an expense that, they had to pay for something? So just by looking at these, we'll see exactly what is happening. So to start off, we have advertising expense. Clearly, this is something that they paid in order to make advertisings or so. So this falls under expense. Now, commission revenue. So let's say I'm a contractor or so. I'm just trying to get two people to make a deal together. I'm the one who introduced them both. I take some sort of a commission, right? This is something that I will consider as a revenue because I took money or received payment. Now, insurance expense. Basically, this means I had to pay for insurance. Like every employee or every company has to insure their facilities, their equipment, their employees even. So they always are paying some sort of insurance payment. So this falls under expense clearly. Now, Bergman is the name of the company in this example, and it's named after the owner. So Bergman drawing basically means the owner came into the company, said, I'm going to take, let's say $10,000. He just drew them, and this falls under the owner's drawing. Now, rent revenue. What does rent mean? Rent can be something that either I pay, or if I have a lot of, let's say, classes, or maybe a lot of apartments that I'm renting out to people, at this point, I'm not going to be the one paying, they will be paying me. So when I say rent revenue, means that I have a lot of apartments that I'm renting out to people, or any sort of equipment that I'm renting out to people, and they will be paying me. So I consider this as revenue, as this is money I received. And finally, utilities expense. Basically, utilities are the same as, let's say, some sort of equipment, office supplies, all of that. This is something that I just have in order for the company to function well. And I always am purchasing or upgrading these utilities, and so this is something that I pay, which makes it fall under the expense. Now, the next slide are just the answers as we saw. Now, let's just discuss these 5 or 6 headlines, and we'll see whether they fall under assets, which means something that the company owns, liabilities, which means something that the company has to pay or is in liability of it, or a part of the owner's equity, something that the owner has actually placed in the company, or something that the owner 100% owns, but he just has it in the company. So, accounts receivable. This means I somewhat took some sort of a payment, but I didn't get the money yet. I was just promised on a piece of paper, a legal paper that says I will be receiving the money, let's say in 30 days. So this falls under asset, because this will be money that comes in. Now, office supplies that I use in my office. This is something that I own, which also makes it fall under the assets part. Now, salaries payable. I have a lot of employees, I pay them in salaries. This is something that the company will always have to pay, which makes it fall under the liability part. Now, here's what we call owner's investment. The owner came in one day and placed a lot of money in the company. This is what we call as an investment. And this money is 100% a part of the owner's equity, because it's something for the owner. Now, as for equipment, whether it be equipment that I use to actually do the work, or just equipment I use to get around as a company, basically, cars, a lot of these things can be considered as equipment, and this is something that I own, which means it's an asset. Now, finally, notes payable, basically, is something that I have to pay for the bank. We will be discussing this in details later on, but this is something that will be paid, which is a liability. Thank you so much for attending today.